we have an Avengers third secret movie. Apparently it's going to be in between Doomsday and Secret Wars. I don't know. I think it might introduce Doom a bit more. But yeah, let's check it out.
Has had a release date set for a mystery movie for some time now. Now, Marvel and Disney typically do this. They release a schedule that basically lists everything that they've announced, and in slots that they have planned, they simply put untitled Marvel film. And right now, Marvel has one of those secret untitled films set for July 2027, coming out before Avengers Secret Wars. And what's interesting is that some insiders slash veterans from the industry seem to think that that mystery movie could be another Avengers film. And after going through this full report, I'm starting to think this could be what Marvel Studios might try to do. And after going through their filming schedule and registrations of production companies, and no insiders revealing any other movie set for that slate, I'm actually thinking the signs do point towards them making another Avengers film. And I'm sure many of you as well, want them to do this. And not just because I want another Avengers movie, which I do, but because I actually think it would be the best decision Marvel could make. If you've been catching our podcast or our live streams, you've probably heard me state that I do believe that Marvel Studios should push back Avengers Doomsday by a year. That way, with that extra year, we could have two other movies that kind of introduce Doom a little bit more and give us a bigger build up to Avengers Doomsday. But simply adding another Avengers film, that would also do the trick. And I also think that at this point in time, Marvel Studios is willing to do whatever they need to do to not only bring the Marvel hype back, but to also score insanely big at the box office, because they haven't really done that lately. They've had a series of underperformances at the box office, and then they've had some pretty good performances. Then of course some outliers like Deadpool and Wolverine and the Guardians of the Galaxy. So I do think Marvel would actually include another Avengers film. And as we go through this report, it seems like that might be their plan, because that was kind of their plan all along, at least originally. This report is coming from Charles Murphy at Murphy's Multiverse, and it's titled Connecting Imaginary Dots. A second Avengers film will hit theaters in 2027, so he seems pretty confident. Now, he starts off this article by stating that originally Marvel Studios did intend on releasing two Avengers films within the same year, and not just releasing them within the same year, but having them only 6 months apart. Now, at the time in 2022, this was originally for the Kang Dynasty and Avengers Secret Wars. And obviously, since then, a lot has changed, but the premise might still stand. What if Marvel Studios still plans on releasing two Avengers films in the same year? Because according to a new trade report, Marvel still plans on keeping that July 2027 release date, in which, yeah, they kind of have to. If they didn't, they would only have one movie releasing in 2027 in December, Avengers Secret Wars. So what could this mysterious movie be? Well, this report does acknowledge that there is a slight chance that it could be Blade. It would be a presumably low budget movie which could lead to a big box office success for the studio, but based on everything we've heard about Blade, it's probably not it. Enter what Charles Murphy says is an all-new, all-different Avengers film, stating there is another option, Marvel Studios making good on its insane plan to roll out two Avengers films in a calendar year. After rolling out an Avengers film every 3 years before dropping Infinity War and Endgame 1 year apart, the studio has used the first 5 years of the multiverse saga to spin a whole lot of disparate tales and introduce a whole lot of new characters, only to never follow up on very many of them. That's left a bad taste in the collective maw of fandom, as heroes such as Shang-Chi, Moon Knight, and She-Hulk have been, to date, one and dones. And now as the multiverse saga finds itself accelerating to its end, it becomes increasingly difficult to imagine incorporating them all into the cast alongside the stars announced as part of the cast of Avengers Doomsday. However, releasing a third Avengers film in theaters in July 2027 between Doomsday and Secret Wars might provide the narrative runway to make it possible. And he does make a really good point that Marvel Studios hasn't given any indication that this movie will be a property of which the public is not aware. aware. And as of now, there hasn't been any hiring of new writers or directors that hasn't been made public, that is, and there have been no new production companies that aren't already believed to be accounted for. Basically stating that if Marvel Studios did plan on doing a movie, they haven't registered anything for this movie. And no insiders have really heard anything about another movie that hasn't already kind of been put out there. So it's not going to be something that just comes out of left field that Marvel has somehow managed to keep secret. And the reason for that could be because they're just going to continuously shoot 3 Avengers films back to back to back. But the next part of the article is why I really think that this is something that Disney and Marvel would do. The article continues.
It would make so much sense before Secret Wars. And it might bring more characters together. So Marvel, do it. Do it now.